Chinese idol Kris Wu sentenced for abuse. The shocking fall of a global star. Kris Wu, once celebrated as one of the most talented and charismatic figures in Asian pop culture, has now become a symbol of the devastating consequences of fame gone wrong. From sold-out concerts and luxury brand endorsements to the cold, hard reality of prison life, his journey is as shocking as it is cautionary. What led the world's beloved idol to this fate, and how did one man's choices spiral into public disgrace? This is the story of Kris Wu's meteoric rise, explosive scandal, and ultimate sentencing, told in gripping detail. The meteoric rise, from K-pop idol to international superstar. Born Wu Yifan in 1990 in Guangzhou, China, Kris Wu moved to Canada at a young age, carrying with him dreams that would eventually take him to the pinnacle of the entertainment world. He first rose to fame as a member of the K-pop sensation EXO, captivating audiences with his striking looks, deep vocals, and commanding stage presence. Fans couldn't get enough of him. After leaving EXO in 2014 to pursue a solo career, Kris Wu's fame skyrocketed. His debut album dominated charts in China, and he quickly expanded into acting, starring in blockbuster films that brought him international recognition. From red carpet events to luxury campaigns with brands like Louis Vuitton, Cartier, and Porsche, he seemed untouchable. Every public appearance was met with roaring applause, every release with fervent anticipation. Behind the glittering veneer, however, cracks were beginning to form, cracks that would eventually fracture the image of perfection. Friends whispered about his wild lifestyle, insiders hinted at erratic behavior, and rumors circulated that all was not as glamorous as it appeared. The scandal explodes. Allegations rock the world. In 2021, the unthinkable happened. Beauty influencer Du Meiju came forward, accusing Kris Wu of sexually assaulting young women who were lured under the guise of auditions. The allegations were shocking. Women claimed they were plied with alcohol, isolated, and coerced into situations they could not consent to. The reaction was instantaneous. Fans, once blindly devoted, were divided. The Chinese internet exploded with outrage, and hashtags condemning Kris Wu trended nationwide. Major brands severed ties. Music streaming platforms removed his songs. Movie producers canceled projects. The man who once commanded global admiration now faced a tidal wave of condemnation. Authorities quickly stepped in. By July 2021, Kris Wu was officially detained by Beijing police on suspicion of rape. This was not just a celebrity scandal, it was a legal battle that gripped the nation. The allegations multiplied. Reports suggested that multiple women, including minors, were involved. Media outlets dubbed the case China's #MeToo moment, a seismic shift in how society viewed celebrity privilege. Inside the courtroom, the trial that shocked millions. The trial that followed was closely watched. Every detail of Kris Wu's actions, every accusation, and every piece of evidence was dissected by both the court and the public. Prosecutors painted a harrowing picture of a man who had abused his fame to manipulate and exploit vulnerable women. Witnesses recounted stories that left the courtroom in stunned silence. The defense attempted to portray Kris Wu as a victim of misinformation and exaggeration, but the evidence was overwhelming. CCTV footage, text messages, and testimonies built a damning case. The world watched as the image of the golden idol began to crumble in front of millions. On November 25, 2022, the Chaoyang District People's Court pronounced its verdict. Kris Wu was found guilty on multiple counts: rape of 3 intoxicated women and organizing group sexual misconduct. The sentence was severe: 13 years in prison for the rape charges and an additional 1 year and 10 months for the group misconduct. On top of this, he was fined 600 million yuan, approximately $84 million, for tax evasion. For many, this was justice long overdue. For others, it was a moment of disbelief. The superstar they had adored was now behind bars. The appeal and the inevitable outcome. Kris Wu appealed the verdict, holding out hope that his fame and legal team could overturn the sentence. However, on November 24, 2023, the the Beijing Third Intermediate People's Court upheld the original ruling, dismissing the appeal as without merit. The evidence, the court concluded, was sufficient and convincing. His life as a free man, as a celebrated figure, was officially over. Following the appeal, his works were removed from all platforms, and he became a cautionary tale in the eyes of the public. Once adored, now shunned. Once untouchable, now confined. The idol who had once inspired millions was now a name associated with scandal, abuse, and downfall. Life behind bars, from luxury to confinement. Kris Wu's life in prison is a stark contrast to the luxury and adoration he once knew. Reports from the Beijing Chaoyang District Detention Center reveal a rigid routine. He wakes at 8 a.m., works at a sewing machine until 11 a.m., takes a short break, resumes labor until 5 p.m., and returns to his cell by 7 p.m. for evening routines. Lights out is at 10 p.m. every night. There are no cameras, no red carpets, no screaming fans, only the daily monotony of incarceration. Despite the harsh conditions, Kris Wu reportedly engages in cultural and artistic activities within the prison, likely as part of an effort to reduce his sentence. Some insiders claim he has attempted to maintain a positive attitude, using the time to reflect on past mistakes. It is a far cry from his previous life filled with luxury cars, private jets, and international tours. Public reaction: shock, outrage, and reflection. The sentencing of Kris Wu sparked an international debate. In China, the case was seen as a landmark moment for the #MeToo movement, proving that fame does not exempt one from accountability. Social media erupted with discussions about power dynamics, celebrity culture, and the responsibilities of public figures. Globally, the case served as a cautionary tale. From fans in South Korea to followers in North America, the narrative was clear. No one, no matter how famous, is above the law. Newspapers and news channels dissected the case in painstaking detail, speculating about the implications for other celebrities and the entertainment industry as a whole. The fall from grace, a legacy tarnished. Kris Wu's journey from global superstar to convicted criminal is a stark reminder of the fragility of fame. Once an icon of talent and charm, his name now evokes scandal and infamy. The lavish lifestyle, the red carpets, the flashing cameras gone, replaced with a sewing machine, prison routines, and a world that has turned its back on him. For aspiring entertainers, the story is a warning. Success is fleeting, and the choices one makes can have irreversible consequences. For the public, it is a moment of reflection, questioning the pedestal upon which celebrities are placed and the dangers of unchecked power. Long before the headlines screamed scandal and the world turned against him, Kris Wu was a boy with a dream and a voice that could silence a room. Born Wu Yifan in Guangzhou in 1990, he moved to Vancouver, Canada, at a young age, carrying with him a suitcase of ambitions far larger than the city streets he walked. Even as a child, his determination was evident. Teachers recalled a young boy who would sing in the corridors, who would mimic pop stars on TV, and who refused to let anything dampen his spirit. In Vancouver, he was an ordinary teenager among thousands, blending into classrooms, yet he carried the spark of something extraordinary. Every night, he would practice singing in front of the mirror, imitating his idols, dreaming of the stage lights that seemed galaxies away. Little did he know, that same boy would one day command millions, not just in China but around the globe. The leap to stardom, EXO, and the birth of a pop icon. In 2012, destiny knocked. Wu Yifan was scouted by SM Entertainment and brought to South Korea, where he joined the boy band EXO. For the first time, he was thrust into a world of rigorous training, where every step, every note, and every smile was scrutinized. He trained for hours on end, perfecting choreography, vocal technique, and stage presence. Sleep became a luxury, and failure was not an option. The debut of EXO was nothing short of explosive. Fans, already known as some of the most devoted in the world, immediately latched onto Wu Yifan's charisma. On stage, his deep, resonant voice captivated audiences. Off stage, his quiet confidence and sharp features made him a fan favorite. Concerts sold out in minutes, albums broke records, and his face adorned posters, billboards, and magazine covers across Asia. Backstage, however, the story was different. Long hours, pressure to maintain perfection, and the relentless scrutiny of millions took their toll. Wu Yifan endured injuries, vocal strain, and emotional exhaustion, yet his ambition pushed him forward. In interviews, he always smiled, always projected calm, but beneath the surface, a storm of determination and stress brewed. A solo journey, breaking away and building an empire. 2014 marked a turning point. Wu Yifan left EXO, citing creative differences, a bold move that shocked fans worldwide. Many wondered if he could sustain a solo career, but Kris was not one to follow the beaten path. He returned to China with a vision, to become more than just a K-pop star, to dominate the entertainment industry. His solo debut was met with immediate acclaim. Every song, every music video, was infused with his personal style, blending Western influences with Chinese sensibilities. He began acting, starring in films that showcased his versatility, not just as a singer, but as an actor capable of embodying complex characters. One moment, he was a brooding romantic lead, the next, a fierce action hero, commanding the screen with the same intensity that once electrified concert halls. Luxury brands took notice. He walked red carpets for Louis Vuitton, Cartier, and Porsche, each appearance a masterclass in charisma. Flashbulbs popped as photographers captured him in perfectly tailored suits, and social media erupted every time he posted a photo. For many, he seemed untouchable, a modern-day prince of pop, a symbol of perfection in an imperfect world. The glamour and the shadows. Behind closed doors, the life of Kris Wu was a whirlwind of privilege and pressure. Lavish parties, private jets, and celebrity entourages painted the picture of a dream life, but fame brought with it a relentless weight. Managers, advisors, and publicists surrounded him constantly, shaping every move, every word. Fans adore him, yet the scrutiny was unyielding, every misstep magnified, every rumor scrutinized. There were nights when Wu Yifan would stand alone in his penthouse, looking out at the neon-lit city below, contemplating the sacrifices he had made. Friends in the industry whispered about the loneliness that fame brought. Behind the smiles, the applause, and the awards, he carried a private battle, trying to maintain control of his life in a world that demanded perfection while punishing every flaw. The icon the world loved. At his peak, Kris Wu was more than an entertainer. He was an icon. Teenagers painted murals of his face on walls, fans tattooed his name on their bodies, and online communities formed around every facet of his career. Every social media post was dissected, every move analyzed, and every song became an anthem for a generation. Even international audiences noticed. Hollywood casting agents, global fashion houses, and foreign media outlets clamored to collaborate with him. He was not just a Chinese star, he was a global phenomenon. Magazine covers from Paris to Los Angeles feature him, interviews highlighted his intelligence and charm, and awards ceremonies celebrated his talent. The world saw him as invincible, a symbol of talent, beauty, and success. Few imagined that this same man, adored by millions, would one day become the center of one of the most shocking scandals in entertainment history. A foreshadowing of the fall. Yet, in the very glamour that elevated him, there were hints of turbulence. Rumors circulated in quiet corners of the internet, and whispers in entertainment circles suggested reckless behavior, late-night parties, and a growing sense of entitlement. While none could have predicted the full scope of what was to come, these small cracks hinted that the perfect image may not have reflected reality. Kris Wu's meteoric rise was breathtaking, a story of ambition, talent, and determination, but it was also the beginning of a narrative that would soon take a darker turn. The idol who had once inspired millions with his voice and presence was unknowingly building the stage upon which his downfall would unfold.